Hi, thanks so much. Love that intro. Love hearing the music. Love hearing, sorry, I have a fire truck going by right at this moment. Problems of being in New York City. But I love seeing all of the schools we have represented here. It seems like we have several different states represented all over the country. So much love that. Really quickly, I'll give a little intro of myself. I'll pass it over to my colleague Tara, and then we'll get kind of into our session. But really quickly, my name is CORINNA SCIARAPPA. I am the campus recruiter here at HSBC. I've been in the bank for 2 years now. I did my first year in our London headquarters, recruiting for global banking markets. And now I'm over in New York City, recruiting for a couple different areas. But today we are focused on commercial banking, and we're really excited to bring light into the area, the opportunities, and for you to hear from some of our grads who have gone through the programs. So with that, Tara, take it away with your introduction.
Awesome, and thank you all so much for joining. As CORINNA had mentioned, my name is Tara Rodriguez, and I am the Senior Commercial Banking Program Manager for all of our early careers programs. That includes both the Spring Insight as well as Internship, Rising Junior, and the Graduate Program. The programs that I cover, they span across multiple cities across the United States. So of course, where it all started and all began here in New York City on 452 Fifth Avenue. And then we started to build out the rest of the country. So we set up graduate programs in San Francisco, Los Angeles, as well as Chicago. So I'm sure that you are all joining from different time zones and cities across the country, perhaps across the globe. So we're excited to have you all today. What I'm going to do is quickly talk. I'll give you an introduction to myself, and then I'll take a little bit deeper of a dive into commercial banking, and then I will open it up to our panelists, where CORINNA and I will begin to ask them some questions. As was stated in the beginning, if you do have any questions, you could add them as our panelists are speaking, and we could pull you in, or we could have you turn on your camera and chat with them as well, so it's interactive throughout the course of the evening. And so going deeper into my bio, which should give you an understanding of commercial banking, I've been doing this role now in early careers for 3 years, but prior to this, I was a relationship manager within the commercial bank. And so for you all, when we think about the opportunities for you to join, whatever degree or discipline you are studying, your skills and passions have a right place at HSBC. We're one of the largest international financial services organizations in the world. We were founded in Hong Kong over 150 years ago, and now we're headquartered in London. If you do have an interview with me, I hope that you bring that into your interview. That is a pop quiz, and so I hope that you remember it and carry it forward. We are Europe's biggest bank, and we're one of Asia's biggest banks as well. We have a strong presence in high growth markets across the Middle East, as well as Latin America and beyond. Now, HSBC is one of the world's largest banks, and we talked about it in terms of asset size. We're about $2.9 billion in assets, so the 6th largest bank in the world, with, I think, JP Morgan Chase just ahead of us and Bank of America underneath us. However, we don't have that brand presence here in the United States, which is why we're beginning to build out our market and reach out to more customers as possible. Our values are rooted within HSBC's history and character, which helps us deliver on our purpose. Our primary purpose is to open up a world of opportunity. Our goal is to be the world's leading international bank. And so that is why we are expanding our offices, but more particularly, the commercial banking sits at the heart of what we do. But I'll get into the commercial banking in just a minute, but what I wanted to do is just share with you a little bit about our values. Now, we value difference, which is, we actively take part in a broader perspective. And so, we really want to bring more opportunities to our customers. So difference is really important. Diversity and having not only just gender diversity representation, but ethnicity representation and background is really important in order for us to be successful within the commercial bank, because we have to think differently. We are all working for a common goal. So in order for us to present the best solutions to our clients, we all need to think using different parts of our brain to provide our clients with the best solutions. We also succeed together and we make connections that help realize the full potential of those opportunities. We take responsibility and we get it done. And so those are really our core values at the bank. And our purpose means valuing difference and making sure HSBC is a place where everyone feels purpose, value, and respected. Now, hopping into the commercial bank, specifically, there are 3 areas of the bank. We have the commercial banking division, as well as global banking and markets, and wealth and private banking. But the commercial banking is really where our sweet spot lies. We serve over millions of businesses in developed and fast-growing markets worldwide, starting from small enterprises up to mid-market companies and large multinationals. So again, our clients range anywhere between startup up to companies that generate $5 billion. These are the companies that, of course, help the commercial bank grow, but also our economy is really reliant on these customers as well, which is why we place heavy emphasis here. Within the commercial bank specifically, we operate in over 50 different countries and territories, and we help 1.3 billion businesses grow. We help them achieve their international growth ambitions by supporting them by making the right investment decisions, accessing funds both domestically and globally. We help them navigate a world of international trade safely and successfully, and we use our global expertise and network to help businesses grow internationally. Our teams, including the graduates that we have on the line, use their deep knowledge of customers and current business trends to help identify opportunities to make all of these things possible for our clients. That means providing billions of dollars in loans to help businesses, in businesses' growth, advising on risks, providing foreign exchange, trade finance solutions, and supply chain finance to support international expansion. And as far as large companies and organizations that are already operating across borders, we offer tailored advice and decisions, such as finalizing on major projects or issuing debt or making acquisitions. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an understanding of the commercial bank. We have a broad range of services from our teams, which include trade and receivables finance, global liquidity cash management, currency solutions, capital finance, insurance, loans, etc. So now you're completely overwhelmed, but I promise you when we get into the panelists, they will make these things somewhat make sense for you.
I know, I was about to say, Tara, I was like, I think they might be an information overload, and I'm about to overload them with more details about that.
We got to go more. But if you are interested in international business and how they operate, but also working collaboratively with colleagues across the globe, then HSBC is the right place for you. And if the commercial bank, if you are interested in building trusted relationships with clients, then the commercial bank is right for you. So with that, I will hand it back over to Corinna to give you more of an info overload.
Yep, adding more info on top of the pile, and you'll get even more info from the panelists. But don't worry, I will be sending a follow-up email that will have a lot of what I'm about to talk about in there, as well as have my contact. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out if we don't get to them today. But basically what I'm going to go over is how to actually apply. So hopefully Tara giving that overview of commercial banking, and hopefully after hearing from our grads, you will even more so understand and be motivated to apply to commercial banking. But basically, as far as our applications, we have opportunities from freshman all the way to senior year. Our freshman program is more of a 3-day kind of learning conference. It's held in March. That's geared towards freshmen and sophomores, just for you to kind of get a look into commercial banking and HSBC, as well as doing some development opportunities, some upskilling workshops. Then we have our opportunity for sophomores, which is our Rising Junior program. This is 8 weeks, and it is rotational in commercial banking, which is really awesome because then you get to test out all these different teams and see how they all operate. I know Tara kind of touched a little bit on the different teams that we have. There's so many here within commercial banking that you can find a real good place for yourself, and this will give you a taste into that. Then after that, we have our summer internship program, which is geared towards juniors. This is 10 weeks, non-rotational. You're with one team, but we highly encourage you to interact with other teams, get to know how the rest of commercial banking operates, and we have plenty of opportunities with networking, lunch and learns, and things like that to help you learn those as well. And then finally, we have a graduate program, which is what our grads here, if you keep hearing us say grads, you're like, what does that mean? Those are the people who are in our graduate program. They all did summer internships and they got pipelines into our graduate program. Our graduate program is 18 months. They rotate through various teams within commercial banking and then roll off full time. I'm not going to take away all the limelight of them explaining what the grad program is. They'll go more in depth with it, but that is a very quick kind of overview of all of our things. And something to note about all our programs, there are pipelines into each other. So you can see that, you know, if you do well in the Rising Junior program, offer into the summer internship, grad into full-time. So it's a really great opportunity to really want to build that HSBC's culture and that interest in the company. So we want you to kind of continue with us throughout the summer. Now, how to apply is we are actively recruiting right now. If you can't take anything else away from this, is that we are actively doing super days and interviews. If you're at all interested in HSBC, commercial banking, apply today, apply later this week, so that you're in the system and I can see you. As far as our actual application process, there's 4 steps to it. There's an application form, put in your information, upload your resume. Then there is the online immersive assessment, or OIA, that's focused on behavioral and strength-based questions, really seeing if you align with HSBC's values. Then we have our job simulator. It's a little bit more technical focused. It'll be specific to commercial banking. And if you pass all that, that's when Tara and myself look at your scores and your resume to see if we want to invite you to a super day. And that involves interviews with the business, micro exercises, some more interacting with the grads. It's a whole lot of fun. It's maybe like 2 hours and you just get to hang out with us, as well as do some interviews, which is a great experience. So that is my whole spiel about how to apply, what opportunities we have. One last thing I would note, like Tara said, we do operate in a couple different cities throughout the US in commercial banking. So we are looking for students interested in our New York, Chicago, San Francisco, or LA office. Also, we'll note if we have any master's students on the call here today, you are eligible to apply to our internship or a grad program if you're graduating the same year that we're looking for. So we're looking for juniors for the summer internship program, students graduating around June of 2023. So if you're a master's student as well, graduating at that time, you are eligible to apply. So again, hopefully that wasn't too much of an information overload. I will be sending information after this as well, once I get the list from way up, and I'll shoot a message out. But without further ado, so that Tara, you're done hearing from me and Tara talk for 5 minutes straight, I'll start introducing the grads. Grads, if you guys can just tell us a little bit about you, what you did in the internship, what you're currently doing in the grad, kind of high level overview, and then we'll start diving into the questions. Also, shout out any schools, majors, any of that stuff as well. So Jules, I see you first. Let's start with you, and then Jaden, and then Shaviv.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here today. So my name is Jules. I graduated from UC Berkeley, studied business and data science. I interned with HSBC during summer 2020 in their digital banking team, assisting with developing the virtual assistant and live chat features on their HSBC website. Besides that, I also received training about financial statement analysis and credit risk management, and assisted with portfolio management. So technically, my role was a perfect blend between technology and finance sectors. During the internship, I got a chance to network with a lot of managers and leaders from different credit teams, as well as different technology teams. So I could leverage that network when I come back as a graduate analyst. At the end of my internship, I was able to talk directly to the COO of HSBC and got acknowledged for my work. So HSBC culture, where I feel belonged and recognized and acknowledged, is one of the biggest reasons why I came back here as a graduate analyst. I just finished my credit training in the past 2 months and just began my credit rotation in the international subsidiary team, working and assisting in analyzing credit strength and weaknesses of our potential clients and recommend what services that we could provide for these clients. This role has enabled me to develop a lot of professional skills regarding finance skills, as well as soft skills like business writing, team working, and networking within the organization. It provides a lot of room for growth. So I encourage you to ask a lot of questions that are important to you, and we will do our best to answer the questions about our culture and what we can learn from this program. So with that, I will pass it on to Jaden, one of my co-worker in the grad program, so she can talk more about her experience.
Thanks, Jules. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with you. Like Jules said, my name is Jaden. I graduated from Northwestern University in the spring. I majored in learning and organizational change, and I minored in business, which is where I got more of a finance background. Over the summer, during my summer internship, I worked for the international subsidiary banking team, and I mostly worked on helping with prospecting of prospective clients and seeing if they would fit with the bank. Currently in the grad program, I'm still on the international subsidiary banking team, working to do financial analysis of prospective clients and also current clients. I'll hand it over to SHAVIV.
Hey everyone, great to be here. As Jay mentioned, my name is SHAVIV. I graduated from UCLA, studying business economics just recently. Last summer, I interned with the large corporate banking team in Los Angeles. I got the pleasure of working on prospecting and analyzing companies in the region, and that would sort of fit with our portfolio. So I got a great idea of what the appetite for the bank is in the banking industry. Now my first rotation in the grad program, and I'm working with the credit management team in LA. So I'm sort of looking at sort of the same things, but I'm getting a wider view on the analysis of it all.
Great. Thank you guys so much. Let's dive right into the questions. And like we mentioned, if there's any questions you guys have along the way, feel free to jot in either in the Q&A section or raise your hand, and Brandon can bring you over into our little panelist side that we have going on over here. So I know you guys kind of touched on a lot of things in your introductions, but one thing that I did want to ask, just to start us off, was why did you choose HSBC's programs to start off with? What enticed you about either HSBC or commercial banking, or kind of what you brought you over here? So I will start with Jaden for that question.
Sure. So I was really attracted by HSBC's rotation program and just kind of the idea of constant learning over the course of 18 months and being able to get experience on different teams and just learn as much about the bank as I could before I made kind of any serious commitment. And also just kind of having that support and training and learning before just graduating and going straight into a job. So that was really enticing to me. I really appreciate that learning aspect of it. And so far that's been really great. I feel really supported. So that's mainly why I was attracted to HSBC.
Great. SHAVIV, you look like you were ready to go. So do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, Jaden summed it up really well, but I just wanted to add, the mindset and network of the program at HSBC, and more or less the grad program, is one of growth. You come into the grad program not in a set job or in a set position, but you have rotations open to you where you're there to learn, you're there to find out what works for you. You have a network there to help you out, to make sure that you're going along the right path for you, so you're doing something sustainable for yourself. So that's the primary reason why I chose HSBC.
Awesome, thank you. Well, moving on to kind of the next question, unless Jules, you're biting to add something else to it. But I know we have already a student who's excited to kind of get off mute and ask a question. So Owen, take yourself off mute, turn your camera on. We'd love to hear from you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. To the panelists, or not the panelists, excuse me, the people presenting. I hope that my place of work helps me become a better person and a more curious thinker. What is something completely unrelated to banking or finance you've developed a passion for as a result of working in the HSBC environment?
This is why I like Way Up events, not gonna lie, guys, because you guys have some really great questions. I have not heard that question, and I always appreciate being stumped. I'm fine to kick it off, but grads, if you guys have an answer, feel free to jump in. But I think for myself, unrelated to banking, just like soft skills have grown a lot since being here. I know interacting a lot with so many different divisions within commercial banking, but also because I recruit for other areas as well, my network has grown astronomically in the past year of just being here in New York. And even when I was in London, like Tara here on the call, I worked with Tara on several projects when I was still in London. So when I transitioned to be working more closely with her, we had already built kind of a start of our relationship. So I think communication skills and relationship building, though that was something that I've always thought I've been proud of, I definitely had to accelerate that skill and really build it out while I was here, because I'm talking to people constantly. So now, if any of our grads, if you guys want to add on, or you guys are still in your development of the grad program, but anything you've seen that unbanking related.
I mean, yeah, just to add on to that, we are still in the development. So, there's a lot more for us to learn. I'm sure we're going to learn it down the line. I mean, everybody talks about, the international aspect of the bank, which is something I'm really looking forward to, but totally unrelated to banking is the fact that, we get to work with people around the world almost every single day. On top of that, like she mentioned, our soft skills have grown, and the amount of volunteering opportunities that are open to us that I've never really personally looked into myself, before I started working at the bank. It's a lot. I mean, you can volunteer for several different organizations based on, whatever you want to volunteer for. So I think that's something that I think we're all looking forward to doing.
Yeah, I agree with Shavib. Just to echo what he said, HSBC also provided a lot of volunteering opportunities. The most recent one that I attended, we touched upon like how the clothing industry is developing like clothes for people with special needs, like how to make clothing more accessible and like easier to put on for people with disabilities or special needs, for example. So that is something like completely unrelated to banking, but that is something that makes me think about like, okay, so this is happening in the world, and what can we do outside of work to actually like put my voice out or like chime in ideas about how to develop those areas, right? So with all of these volunteering activities that you could do outside of work is also something that helped me grow like personally as well.
Awesome, I love that. I think so much of the opportunities that we have at HSBC is on banking related. We have employee resource groups that you can get involved with. There's volunteering, like Shaviv mentioned. There's so many initiatives that, yes, we're thinking of banking as a whole, but there's different aspects to it that we can get involved with as employees, which is great.
There's just something that I wanted to add to that, because I think that being in the organization and the grads are starting to see it, we have such a shift and change to sustainability. And so a lot of them are changing the way that they've done business between even last year to this year. I think that you guys could all pretty much attest, now that you're getting into your rotations, how we have a huge focus. So we ended up changing the head of corporate banking is now running global sustainability initiative. And so I think that that's been one of the biggest things that I've seen in this generation, is them joining HSBC and really realizing how sustainability initiatives work, what things we need to provide to our clients, and they're just naturally finding themselves gravitating towards that on their personal life. So I just wanted to add that very quickly.
Hope that answered your question, Owen. That was a really great one. I always tell students, like I said, I want to be stumped. We want to be stumped and get some new questions. So great.
That was great. Thank you.
Frank, I see you have a question. Take yourself off mute and ask the grads anything you'd like.
Great. Thank you for having me here. I guess my question is, what are some of the challenges or difficulties that you have to go through initially when you started your internships or work experience in HSBC? Like, what are some of the stuff that is out of your expectation or didn't expect to happen?
Jaden, I know that you didn't have the typical finance background, so maybe you could start this question.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So we went straight into some accounting training, which was pretty intense. So that was definitely a challenging part of the road. I definitely felt supported through it. I had my grads, I had the instructor, and we had so many learning materials, but just me coming from a background that wasn't really too much involved in accounting, it was new for me. So that was definitely a challenge. And even we did more training, more credit training. So that was challenging for me too. But overall, it turned out to be very fulfilling. I feel like I learned a lot and I had a lot of support throughout the process. So I would just say, like, depending on your background, that may be a point of, where you may get stuck there. You might have to put in some extra work there. So I would say that was probably the hardest part.
can also speak to that. So when I first started, I was more of like a quiet person in the group. I'm more like task oriented. Like I just want to be given tasks and just focus on completing them myself. I didn't know how to reach out to people, network with people. I don't know how to cold email them, and I don't know like how to set up a talk with them and what to ask or how to get the most out of the conversations with these managers and leaders, right? So I was very shy when it comes to networking, but thanks to the network that I created with my fellow interns and how they connected me with their managers, I was more comfortable now like reaching out to people because nobody ever said no if I wanted to reach out, right? So navigating through the intranet, like knowing which person to reach out to and how to build that network within the bank to develop like relationships with them was something that didn't come to me naturally. It was a challenge at first, but once I get used to it, now I'm much more comfortable like knowing who to go to if I have like any difficulty or if I want to explore like opportunities in their team, right? So it's something more of the progress, but I'm still developing. But I think that is the biggest change and biggest development that I've had so far, thanks to the program.
You notice Shaviv laughing when Jules said she used to be quiet. Used to. Now she connects and networks with more people, and I'm like, Jules, to go through the laundry list of people that you connected with this week for me. Sorry, go ahead, Corinna.
Yeah, no, I before calling on Lucas, I just want to take a question from the Q&A that we've got in. We kind of talked about what development that you've had once here at the internship or what you would have like really changed, but someone asked, what is some experience / organizations that you were involved in college that you thought helped a lot during your internship or that helped you get it? And knowing what you know now, is there anything that you wish you did differently in college to help you? So not taking a step back, not like once you're in the internship, but thinking back in college when you're in their shoes, trying to figure out what you wanted to do. What would you have changed? What things were you involved with that helped? I will cue that up to Shaviv first.
All right. It's a little tricky question for me because I transferred to UCLA. So this is actually sort of where I sort of struggled, and I didn't really have, all the resources that, someone who was there from day one necessarily had. My best course of info was I was going, every day to what we call the transfer center. And I was looking for events all the time. I was on, it was Handshake. Handshake had all the events. I was just looking for any event to go to. And aside from that, I just tried to use the internet, which was my best resource at the time, to try and learn what I needed to do to get my foot into the door for the interviews, what I needed to prepare for the interviews, things like that. There were a lot of clubs, and they were open to a lot of members, but as a transfer student, it's a lot harder to get into those. So I had to use my best resource at the time, which was just internet, YouTube. There's so much information available out there to find out, how should I be interviewing, things that I should do, how should this interview go, how should recruiting processes go in general. It's all out there.
I'm a big fan of YouTube. I think it's so underutilized because there's so many great visuals. If you're a visual learner, if it's better for someone to speak information to you, YouTube is so helpful with those things. So that is a great point. Jaden, Jules, do you get either one of you or both of you want to add on to that?
I think I echoed a lot of what Shaviv said. I was also a transfer student, so I could totally understand how hard it was to navigate through the university. But one thing that I wish I had known when I was in college was that I wish I had been more proactive in joining like case competitions that the companies held on campus. I think those case competitions were like a great way to team up with some of your friends and your fellow students and to put your face out there to the recruiters, right? Like so that they know who you are, and also like to showcase your skills and to get feedback from the people that will be interviewing you. So I guess take advantage of those opportunities is a very good way to build like the relationship with the recruiters of those companies. So that's something I wish I had done more.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Shaviv and Jules said, I definitely second everything they said. I think another thing that helped me in school was just joining any programs, even if it's just kind of like the email list that was related to business. And I don't know if this is too relevant because we are in COVID times, but companies often would have representatives come to the school. So they probably do that over Zoom. So just so you can kind of be aware that that's happening on campus. And if they are at your school, going there to take initiative to meet them, that was really helpful just to kind of have that information.
Hindsight is 2020, right? So now there's a lot of things that you now know, and you did some amazing things, obviously, because you are here today with us. Lucas, we did not forget about you. Take yourself off mute, ask your question for the grads.
Thank you, everybody. My question is, if you guys had any skills prior to your experience in your current role that really helped you develop just professionalism, or like how you perform your daily tasks. Specifically, if you guys had any technical skills that really helped you.
I'll take this one. Lucas, I love your chair. I see so many similarities in what I'm sitting on. No, I think, in terms of technical skills, I personally didn't have any like certificate or anything like that we needed to go into it. You're going into finance, so knowing Excel is always going to be beneficial to you. You can learn it. Obviously, you're going to learn it throughout the internship if that's something that you're going to be doing. But it's a great skill to have. Another one's just, your soft skills, work on pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, talking to people, networking, things like that. That was something that I learned the most throughout the internship. And it's something that's probably the most beneficial.
Yeah, just to add on to that, besides the Excel skill and the soft skills, you can also brush up on your accounting skills, like the ability to read through the balance sheet or cash flow statement or income statement and know where to look and know how to conduct like basic analysis. Like you will get trained on all of it during the program, like don't worry about it. But if you had some time to like brush up on it, it would be a great starting point. And also it's not just about like computing like the formulas or the numbers, but more about like putting numbers into context and draw like actionable insights from it, like how to compare that to competitors, for example, or how does that look like compared to the industry benchmark, and be able to like make recommendations based on numbers. So understanding data, making actionable insights and recommendations is a very good skills.
Great, thank you so much. Lucas, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. I will take a question from what we had a little like prepared, and I know I'm going to toss this over to Jules first because she is our networking queen, and we have talked a little bit about networking and how to make yourself
Wait,
stand
but
out.
SHAVIV is the king. He's the original OG of networking.
Okay.
And we're all getting.
SHAVIV, did not mean to take your crown. So sorry. I will pass it on to Jules first, and then SHAVIV, of course, you can put in any other tips that you have. We have royalty here, students, so please listen in on what kind of tips they have. I know that's always a question we have from students. How do you get your foot in the door, but once you're in the door, how do you continue to build that network? So Jules, go right ahead.
Yeah, so usually before I meet up with anyone, I try my best to do some research about their background, or like, if possible, like what their team is doing or what I'm interested in getting out from that conversation. Like, is it like, do I want to know more about the work that they do, or I'm interested in assisting them? Like, bring like a very realistic goal to the conversation and make it clear from the beginning like what you want to learn from that conversation. And secondly is to, from the research that you've done about the work that you do, like tailor the questions that really speak to them. The type of questions that show that you've done the research and you're genuinely interested in what they're doing would be like a good starting point to form a meaningful relationship with them. Right. And also like try like be authentic and be willing to help. Like if you're there to learn, like show that you're here to learn and you're open to like learning new things. So I think any leader, any manager will appreciate that, and they're more than happy to share with you the work that you do. So bring your authentic self and your intellectual curiosity to the table, and that will get you a long way.
Yeah, I mean, Jules summed it up great. You know, that's essentially a lot of what it is. I also, you know, just to add on to that, I think there's a lot of necessarily the fear in networking. You know, people don't, especially in a virtual environment, you know, you don't know, we just want to reach out, send out a cold email. You don't know how this call is going to go, like what's going to happen. I don't know this person. Don't worry about it. You know, everybody's in the same shoe as you, you are now, they were once at some point. And everybody just wants to hear from you. They want to hear your story just as much as you want to hear theirs. So go in there trying to make conversation. Think about it as you're just trying to talk to somebody. You're going to find some more, you know, you'll learn something from you. You'll learn something from them. They'll learn something from you. And, you know, you'll laugh and just make a genuine connection as if it's just, you know, someone you met anywhere else. And if it goes well and you have a great connection, then follow them on LinkedIn and follow up with them later. Send them another, you know, chat a couple of weeks from now or a month from now. You know, there are a lot of managers that I talked to during the internship program that I kept in touch with even throughout the year break that I had during school. You know, I joined back into the organization just this year, and I got in touch with a lot of those managers again. And it's just like, it's almost like the conversations never stopped. So, you know, focus on creating the quality of your network, not necessarily the quantity. That'll get you a far way.
Yeah, I think those are all really important points. And I think, what was I going to answer that? Yeah, I think it's really once you get your, you know, your foot in the door and build those relationships, it's all extremely helpful, and you want to help like continue that to grow. So let's see. Next question. So I know we went over networking tips. We talked a little bit about the skills, you know, why you chose HSBC. But now that you're part of HSBC, and I know we've touched a little bit on this as well, but what do you enjoy the most about it? You know, is it the day-to-day or whatever? I'm not even going to give examples, but what is something that you enjoyed the most about being here at HSBC? Obviously, you liked it enough to come back, so love to hear why.
So there's a lot of great things about HSBC. I do enjoy the day-to-day work. Just because it's so far in my role, it's been a lot of reading. I really do enjoy getting to know the companies the clients that we're doing the analysis for. I like reading through their financial statements and kind of doing that analysis. So that's one part of it. I also do really enjoy the people. My grad class is awesome. Tara is awesome. Corinna is awesome. And they just make the job really fun. And they make me feel like I'm supported here. It's just a really great environment of people. So that's one thing that I really love about HSBC. And it's also another thing that brought me back here too as well.
Great, love it. Jules, you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just to echo what Jaden said, like the culture and the network here is the main reason why I came back. Like Tara is an awesome manager, always cares about our well-being, like you guys' well-being first, and always make sure that we have everything we need to get our job done and also like enjoy our life. And all of my fellow grads as well, like Jaden and other grad analysts, like they were always willing to connect me with like different people in the bank that they know of, and were always willing to help whenever I need something. And another thing that I would like to add to that is that during my network like journey, I was able to like speak to a lot of like the COO, for example, or other like executives as well. So I guess for an organization where I could feel like the executives are not someone like behind closed doors, is something that really encouraged me to like be here, and I feel like acknowledged, I feel recognized by those people. It's a very precious thing for me.
Yeah, awesome. Shaviv, any last little bits you'd like to add?
I'll just add on, you know, the number one thing, you know, aside from the openness and the flexibility of the organization and the work that I do that I really enjoy, it's the people, you know, Tara, Corinna, like all of you guys, you know, my grad class, like it's the main reason I'm back here in the network that I built. It's amazing. Everybody, it's not your typical bank culture that, you know, everybody assumes. It's more young, it's more open, and it's a lot more flexible to what you want to do. And I think that's the best part. You know, we've at least among our grad class, and you know, even further out. I mean, a lot of these connections go beyond just work. some of them are meeting for lunch. We're traveling from state to state to just go see each other. So it's an amazing thing that we've done here.
I 100% agree. I know Tara and I, this literally probably like an hour or two ago, we're discussing our like families and what's going on and what they're up to. Even as chaotic as the recruitment world is right now, and we're in crazy season, we're still connecting and checking on each other. And I think that is really important. Owen, I see you have another question. You're back for more. So unmute yourself, ask a question, and we'll answer it.
Thank you. To those in the grad program, what is something you wish you would have known ahead of time about the grad program and the HSBC experience before joining?
I love all your thinking faces. Whoever is ready to go first, unmute yourself and answer.
You really stumped us with this one. About the grad program specifically, something that I wish I knew after coming out of the internship. I wish I actually, talk about, networking and things like that. I wish I kept as close in touch with all of my network throughout all of it, rather than, throughout the year, the gap that I took, because a lot changes in a year. So I wish I kept in closer touch with all of my network. Unfortunately, I didn't, and even kept closer tabs on what was happening exactly with the organization as we go along. Because, believe it or not, I think a lot of the grads can attest to this, a lot changed in the year that we left. And, keeping tabs on everything that's going on with each other, your network, and everything that's been happening with the organization is something I definitely wish I knew going into it. Because I was thinking, what could change in a year? There's not a lot.
The banking industry is like that. I feel like everything changes in a month sometimes. Jaden, Jules?
I don't know. You really stumped me with this one. I feel like things have gone really smoothly for me that I've never thought of what I wish I had known before. I guess, right? Should we like things have been very smoothly and
like
nice.
that's not exactly, like, I don't want to interrupt. Like, it's not to say like things changed in a bad way. Like, things were they just changed, and you just get used to it. But everything generally went as really smooth transition into it. Almost like, like I said, like with a lot of my network, it's almost like we never had that gap in work.
Maybe just a small thing. Maybe if I wish I had known like what exact teams that I'll be rotated through, so that I could prepare better. But that's not a big problem because that's really based on the need of the bank at the time that you go in the program. But no matter what teams you put on, I think you learn great things from it. So actually, I don't mind. But if I could like know in advance like what teams I'll be on, maybe that's just a small thing I wish I had known.
Yeah, so that's a hard question to answer. I didn't know much going in, to be honest. So I kind of just went with the flow. And plus the program feels so like tailored to me. And I know each of the grads feel like that too. So it kind of, I don't know, it would be hard to say what I wish I knew, because going in, everything just felt like, what do you need so we can help you with it. I would say, if I had to say something, I would say I wish I knew, I knew that I was going to be pushed outside of my comfort zone. So, but I wish I don't know. I wish I knew I was ready to be pushed out of my comfort zone, but it's really a great experience overall. I don't feel like there's anything major like that would have changed the whole experience if I knew it,
Great, thank you guys. Owen, again with the tough questions, but we love it. I hope that answered it. I want to go back into the Q&A chat that we have going on. And we kind of touched a little bit on, what would you change the way you entered the internship, but a student did ask, what does the day-to-day life of an intern look like? And then their second part was, how would you change the way you entered the internship? But we kind of just went over that. So if you guys can just dive a little bit into what was your day-to-day, even though I know it's never the same, but if you could talk about some things that you did work on while you're in the internship, and also, maybe some of the stuff you're working on now in the grad program. I will go with SHAVIV first.
All right. During the internship day to day, well, we were virtual, so it was a big mix. And it was the first class that was virtual. We did trainings in the morning. It took up a majority of our day, about half the day, and the other half of the day we spent time with our teams. A lot of it went down to getting to know our teams, getting to know what our teams do, the functions of it. And, I personally worked a lot on prospecting and analyzing the potential prospective clients. Throughout the internship, you're obviously going to learn about what else the bank has to offer, and you'll have meetings on soft skills and different portions of the bank and all that throughout the internship, which is, a lot to take in and a lot to learn, but it's great because you're actually learning. During the grad program now, day to day, it started off very similar. Like there's a lot of training we need to do, a lot of credit training. We need to get up to date on those skills. We need to get, familiar on all the new stuff in the beginning, but now day to day, we're sort of working closely with the teams. We're being assigned our names, our clients, who we need to get familiar with, which profiles we need to get familiar with. And so sort of we work on a day to day. On top of that, we're managing our network, working with our grad class on events and different things that we can help in different ways that we can help each other grow.
Yeah, just to echo what Shabib said, we have a half-day training where we learned about financial statement analysis and credit risk management. And because during my internship, I also interned with the digital banking team, which is more on the tech side. My day-to-day work is a little bit different than what Shabib and Jaden might have been doing. So my main role was to research the competitive landscape for the virtual assistant and live chat features that other banks are doing. And from there, make recommendations about what actions HSBC could take and how should we develop our own features. Besides that, I also assisted with portfolio management, like pulling data from their financial statement analysis from our prospects and monitor the year-to-year change. And back at the graduate program, we just finished the training. So for the first 2 months, it's just about training. So we don't do half day, we do the whole 2 months of just training, and then we began a rotation. So I just finished my 2 weeks of my first rotation in the international subsidiary team. So my day-to-day lately is to review the credit policy and also the renewal of those companies. So also monitoring the financial statements of these clients and prospects. Jaden, you want to add anything?
I think you and Shaviv covered the bases. So training and speaker series, I would add, we had kind of some control. Well, we had a good amount of control on our schedule and if we wanted to meet anyone. So I know over the internship, I was particularly interested in ERGs. So I spent a lot of time meeting with them and kind of having brainstorming sessions with them. And besides that, I would say most of our other time was with training. And I personally worked on a lot of prospecting on the ISB team. So that was really just kind of researching companies, going through a list of companies to research. And that's how I spent most of my time.
Awesome. So I see that there's a few questions, Corinna, that I do want to answer. Some of you asked about internships outside of the San Francisco, LA, Chicago, and New York area. We are applying for those areas in particular. In past years, because we didn't know if they were going to be in person or virtual, we've allowed anybody to really open, and because it was a bit of this hybrid over the summer in terms of people going into the office or staying remote. So I wouldn't not apply even if you're based in an area because we do have a lot of offices. So apply if you see that there is a commercial banking office. Apply, but just pick a location. The other thing is, in terms of the future way of work, yes, Shafiv did mention that his internship was virtual. It was immediately after after COVID. A lot of banks didn't know if they would even have an internship program, and we still kicked it off, even though it was virtual. And then now we're transitioning our way back to work. We were supposed to go back in September full time, and then that got changed with the Delta variant. And so now going into January, we're going to begin to official transfer back into the office, but with a bit of a hybrid approach in terms of flexibility, not every day necessarily having to go into the office. The other thing that I wanted to answer very quickly is somebody asked about soft skills and if it's really important for you to have soft skills, how much of an advantage having soft skills give you at HSBC. We realize that you are all individual. You could say that by hearing from Shaviv and Jules and Jaden. What we want to do is ensure that we're accelerating, which we have a program called Accelerating Your Strengths. That's where we focus. What is it about you? What makes you a very strong performer? If soft skills isn't necessarily there, what are the other elements that you have that you could bring to the table to help kind of balance that out? That is the focus when we think about the internship and how we develop them, as well as the graduate program. There is not a one size fits all for everybody. So we really have to make sure, like we do for our clients, that we also give some type of tailored approach for our interns. With that being said, Corinna, I just wanted to quickly hop in with those, and I will dive back out and be in the background again.
No problem. I was seeing you were like marking them all live, and I was like, when are we going to answer all these? We got so much, have limited time left, but as always, you seem to manage to do it all. So thank you for jumping in with that. Lucas, I see you have another question. I think that'll be our last question of the day, and then I'll have one more for the students and we'll wrap it up, okay?
Thank you. So my question was, like, on my resume, I really wanted to highlight some of the projects that I've really done over my academic career. And I was wondering, like, if for those who've had experience in graduate program or the internship program, if there's any specific projects that you think really made you stand out to the company, and if there's any other aspects of your resume that really think that stood out to the employer.
You guys were hired after I joined, so I can't even say what stood out of the resumes for you guys. So,
or just basically anything what you think really made you stand out for the company.
I can start with that one. I feel like since I didn't have a finance background, I really tried to leverage kind of any other activities I did in undergrad. So I personally really leveraged my extracurriculars. I was involved in kind of a lot of social activism clubs, so that matched up, and that's really why I was interested in, HSBC's ERGs and kind of volunteerism. So I talked about kind of that match there in terms of, and also in terms of my academic background, kind of what I can bring to the table from there, since it's not finance. So I would say just really focus on, look at HSBC's values and kind of look at what any activities you're in and see how they can match up and really leverage that point.
Yeah, just to echo what Chayden said, I would also like to add, like in your resume, when you mentioned like the projects that you did, I would say not just focus on what you did, but more about like what you learned from it, like how that project made you grow personally or professionally, like the results of it, or even better, like how that projects help like better the community that you live in, for example, like things that really show that you are someone who are willing to learn, who care about give back to others, and who has great like leadership skills or analytical skills. So try to highlight what you get out of those projects, not just what you like the specific task that you did on it. Would be very helpful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Like I said, we're going to start wrapping it up. So I always like to end any event that we have with any piece of advice. I know we've done a lot of advice during this entire session, but if there's any last piece of advice from the grads that you think students should know as they're going into the applications, things you wish you had known, or just, some good advice. So I will pass it off to Jaden first, and then maybe Jules, and then Shaviv, and we'll wrap it up.
A piece of advice, that's a good question. A piece of advice I would say is focus on your strengths. It can be so easy to be like, I'm weak here, this is where I need to grow here, which is, those are all valid, but I would say definitely focusing on knowing what you're strong at and focusing on it. That will help you. I think that will help you develop those weaknesses more than focusing so much on that. So definitely take some time to think about where your strengths lie and leverage those.
Thank you, Chayden. I would say a piece of advice that I would give is to always maintain the willing to learn attitude. Like no matter where you are in your career, like there's always something new to learn. So bring that intellectual curiosity to the table and show them that you're really here to learn and to grow, and that would take you a long way.
Yeah, those are all great. My piece of advice is just be confident and be fearless and reach out, you know. Always reach out any opportunity you can get, even when you submit your applications, you know, reach out to people on LinkedIn, reach out and, you know, say, can we schedule a talk to talk about X, Y, and Z, or reach out to other people in your school who may be doing the same thing as you. Yeah, be fearless and reach out and be willing to learn and be open to new opportunities.
Thanks so much, grads, for taking time out of your day. I know you are busy, but we really do appreciate you coming in, and those pieces of advice were so important. Definitely get out of your comfort zone, reach out to people, be confident in yourself. Those are all things that you should 100% think about when you're applying and just going about your life. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I will be sending a follow-up email once I get all of your names from Way Up, and with all the application links, you can reach out to me if you have any questions that we didn't get to, which I know we didn't because we had so many questions, which I love to see. And also going with the whole connecting and building your network, definitely connect with all of us here on LinkedIn. We'd love to see it and help you build or start your network depending on where you're at. And that is all I have to say. Tara, I don't know if you have any closing remarks for everyone.
Nope, that was, I mean, you hit it, Corinna. Please follow us on LinkedIn, but we are all really happy that you have made it here today. And then again, if you have more questions, I referred a few of you guys to speak with Corinna SCIARAPPA directly. So please email her if you have more direct questions. But have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.